Today, we're going to break down a high-stakes negotiation that goes so wrong, it sets the stage for one of the most epic confrontations in history. Now, this isn't some corporate deal gone bad. This is a divine command meeting the stone-cold wall of royal power, where the opening offer doesn't just get rejected, it triggers immediate and brutal consequences.
Right out of the gate, this is the response from the most powerful man on earth. And listen to what he's saying. His answer isn't just no. He's asking, who is the Lord? It's a fundamental challenge. He's not just rejecting the terms of the deal. He's refusing to even acknowledge the authority of the person who sent the negotiators. This one line, right here, frames the entire conflict to come.
So how in the world does a negotiation start that ends with such an explosive rejection? Well, it all begins with what sounds like a pretty simple, direct request. Let's take a look at the opening offer that Moses and Aaron bring to the king's court.
Okay, so here's the demand, plain and simple. They're asking for a temporary 3-day leave of absence for a religious festival. It's framed as a command from their God, not really a humble plea. Now, on the surface, it seems specific, time-bound. But as we're about to see, for a ruler like Pharaoh, there's absolutely no such thing as a simple request from his massive workforce.
And now we get to Pharaoh's response. He doesn't come back with a counteroffer. He doesn't even try to negotiate. He just delivers a hard, flat rejection. He doesn't just dismiss the idea, he attacks the whole reason for it, seeing it as a direct threat to his economy and, more importantly, to his absolute power.
I mean, just look at this. This comparison shows you just how far apart these two sides are. On one side, you've got a request for a bit of religious freedom, and on the other, a command for more work. Pharaoh doesn't counteroffer, he retaliates. He hears a request for a break, and his response is to pile on even more work. There is zero middle ground here.
And this right here really gets to the core of how Pharaoh thinks. For him, this has nothing to do with faith. It's all about economics. He hears the phrase, "let us go and sacrifice," and his brain just translates that into, they are lazy and trying to get out of work. In his mind, this is just a productivity problem, a trick to undermine his control over his labor force.
So this is the point where the negotiation doesn't just fail. It completely collapses and escalates into active punishment. Pharaoh comes up with this cruel, almost diabolical task, not just to say no, but to make an example out of them for ever having the nerve to ask in the first place.
Let's just break down how nasty this decree really is. First, the taskmasters take away a key ingredient, the straw that's needed to bind the mud bricks together. Second, the people now have to go find the straw themselves. And third, and this is the real masterstroke of cruelty, the daily quota, the number of bricks they have to make, isn't lowered at all. It's a system literally engineered for them to fail.
And the result is immediate chaos and suffering. You have people scattered everywhere, scrambling for scraps of stubble just to do their jobs. And when they inevitably fail to meet this impossible quota, who gets punished? Their own foremen. The Israelite officers the Egyptians put in charge are the ones who get beaten by the taskmasters. The punishment just flows right down the chain of command.
Now, in the middle of all this pain and desperation, something really critical happens. The people's anger, it doesn't turn on the tyrant who created this whole mess. No, instead, it's aimed squarely at the very leaders who are trying to help them. The backlash is swift, and it completely turns the tables on Moses and Aaron.
Can you just imagine hearing this from the very people you're trying to save? They're accusing Moses and Aaron of making them abhorred, of basically making them hated in Pharaoh's eyes. Their argument is just devastating. They're saying, by trying to help us, you didn't help at all. You just handed Pharaoh a sword, the perfect excuse to come down on us even harder. The mission to rescue them is now seen as the direct cause of all their misery.
So all of this builds to a massive crisis point for the leader of this whole movement. Moses is crushed by the king's cruelty, and now he's been rejected by his own people. He's completely alone. He has nowhere else to turn but back to the God who sent him on this mission in the first place, and he is just filled with confusion and despair.
When you step back and look at it, this first attempt wasn't just a failure, it was a complete and total backfire. The very first step they took toward liberation actually resulted in even more intense suffering. And for Moses, the leader, this catastrophic outcome forces him to question the entire point of his mission. And so, the whole ordeal ends with this raw, desperate question from Moses to God. It's not a progress report, it's practically an accusation. Why have you let this happen? Why on earth did you send me? The negotiation is over. It has ended in total disaster. and the would-be deliverer is left wondering if he's only made everything worse. And that leaves us with a really heavy question. What happens when the first step you take toward freedom only leads you deeper into bondage?